Hello and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program in which we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Christians in Pakistan number approximately 3 million, or just 2% of the country's 196 million, of which the overwhelming majority are Muslim. Overshadowing the lives of Pakistan's Christians is the country's controversial blasphemy law. Penalties include life imprisonment for defiling the Quran and execution for blaspheming against the Prophet Muhammad. The situation seems dire, however, there are lights of hope. Father James Channan is the director of the Dominican-run Peace Center in Lahore, Pakistan, which is committed to building interfaith ties and working towards peace with Pakistan's Muslim majority, often in the face of great danger. To tell us more, it is my great privilege to welcome Father James Channan. Father James, thank you very much for joining us today on this program.
Thank you, and I'm very grateful to you.
Father, can you give us a little bit of context? What does it mean to be a Christian in Pakistan today?
Well, to be a Christian in Pakistan today is a matter of great pride. Matter of great pride because we are from that soil. We did not migrate from any other country, and we feel very privileged, and we are very grateful to God for the roots of Christianity goes back to the 1st century. You may be surprised to know that it was St. Thomas the Apostle who went to that territory which is Pakistan today.
So the roots are deep, and there's a pride that comes into the faith of the Catholic people.
That's true. It brings us great joy and deep spiritual satisfaction that our roots go back to the time of Jesus, but particularly with the great work of the missionaries. So this soil really welcomed the spirit and the preaching of missionaries, and now there are 3 million Christians in Pakistan.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's striking that you have pride and you have the roots of the Christians run so deep in the soil of Pakistan, and yet Christians only number 2% of the total population. I believe 96% of Pakistan is Muslim.
That's right.
How do Christians live their faith?
Christians in Pakistan, they are living in a state where they can express their faith and they can live their faith. And to a greater extent, we have a religious freedom in Pakistan. We can publish our Bibles. We can establish our formation houses and seminaries, and we can give catechism to our children, and we can have program for the Christian youth and women, and so on and so forth. So with that regard, we enjoy a great freedom of our religion, but on the other side, there have been also problems. The problems have been particularly from the fundamentalists who associate Christians with the West, and Christians who belong to the poorest classes in Pakistan. They have contributed in many fields of life, especially in the field of education and healthcare and social development. You may be surprised that most of the heads of the states in Pakistan, they studied in Christian schools. So this way we take pride, but the difficulty comes from the fundamentalists, especially when they put so much emphasis on Sharia law. So by putting emphasis on Sharia law, by making all laws under the inspiration of the Holy Quran and the Muslim tradition, we as Christians, we feel that as we are marginalized.
Before we get to the differences and talking about Sharia law and the challenges in Pakistan,
yes,
there is among many Muslims, for example, a great respect and veneration for Our Lady. There are elements. Of course, I think we have to clarify that they do not believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that for them Jesus is only a prophet, and that Muhammad is the last prophet. However, having said that, there are elements of the Catholic faith for which they have a great respect.
Yes, number one, the Muslims, they believe in Torah. They believe in the Psalms of David. They believe upon the gospel of Jesus Christ. And they have great reverence for Blessed Virgin Mary. And they say our faith is complete only at that time when we believe in Jesus, when we believe in Moses, when we believe in David and all prophets of the Old Testament. He said our faith is not complete until we believe in all these prophets who came, who were sent by God before Muhammad. And for them, Muhammad is the last prophet. And of course, they do not believe in the divinity of Christ. They do not believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. They do not believe that Jesus Christ was buried and he rose on the third day. They believe that Jesus Christ was taken into heaven from the cross and somebody else was crucified. But they believe that Jesus Christ is going to have second coming. He will be coming back on earth. And they also believe in the angels, and they have great respect for Mary. And in Pakistan, I have seen that the shrines of Mary attract many Muslims as well. They go to the shrine of Mary, they seek her intercession, and they also express their gratitude if they have got something like a Muslim couple do not have a baby. They go to the Shrine of Mary, they seek her intercession, and if they get baby, they will go back to the shrine and thank Mary for their prayers are heard through her intercession. And Muslims also feel very happy to give the name of Mary to their daughters.
These are the basis of faith on which we can seek reconciliation.
Yeah, we can see the things which unite us and the things which are different.
Be clearly about what is separating us.
Yes.
And be honest and open about these questions.
Yeah, and they know it. They know it. Then when they are questioning a Muslim is questioning a Christian, they know and they are expecting what is their faith, and they also expect they will tell us honestly what they believe without any fear.
Having said this, as we know, as you know much better, the Christian community lives also in some cases in fear. And there have been terrible cases of persecution against Christians. I draw the example of the Christian couple in eastern Pakistan that was beaten and killed. They were burned in a kiln for allegedly having defiled the Quran. And you had to go and console the family. How do you reconcile, first of all, what you are seeking to do, which is to bring Christians and Muslims to a better understanding, and at the same time console this family in their grief as a consequence of this fundamentalist action?
Before coming to answer your question, I want to say I want to see Pakistan a secular state, that no country should have kind of state religion, because Pakistan is a country where majority are of Muslims, nearly 2% are Hindus, and about 2% are Christian, and there are also Jews in Pakistan. Also, there are Jews, there are Sikhs, and there are a few Buddhists also in Pakistan. So Pakistan is a multi-religious society. So when they say that Pakistan is an Islamic state, we feel that as we are put aside. We want that our country, they should put state and religion separate. Now, coming about the state of Christians, it's true that many times Christians have faced persecutions. And account of their faith, they have been tortured and falsely accused of blasphemy. And there are about 130 cases against Christians. And at least 10 persons have been killed on the false accusation of blasphemy. And this was one of the latest cases where Mrs. Shama Shahzad, Shama is the name of the lady, she was accused of burning some pages of the Quran, whereas she had no Quran in her house. And there was some waste paper and she burnt, and somebody accused of her that I saw Shama burning some pages of the Quran, which was not a reality. But you can see the state and atmosphere where we live in. So this man who accused Shama that she had burned the Quran, he goes to the nearby mosque, and the Imam, the one who leads in prayer, Imam, he makes an announcement in the village, and then an announcement is made in another village and third village, and they say, oh, Christians have burnt the pages of the Holy Quran, and Islam is in danger, let's punish those. So within no time, at least 2,000 people came, vigilante, and they attacked this poor couple, Shama, and her husband, Shahzad. First they were locked up in a room, and they tore the roof of the house, which was made of wood, and then also broke the door, and they beat them up. And this Shahzad has had nothing to do with that. I mean, who was accused was this lady, Shama. But Shahzad was also made target of that, beaten up, and then they were burnt. Some say they were burnt alive in the furnace where they make bricks. And I went to the very site. I went on the third day there, and still kind of I could feel the heat of that furnace where this couple was burnt. And you won't be it will be hard for you to believe that even their bones could not be recognized. I put their bones on my hand, and I was so much touched by it, and so much sad also that this, look what has happened. It was the most horrific thing that I saw in my life. But on the other side, I also say the Grand Imam Abdul Khabir Azad and myself, we went together. Before I went to this very site, we went together in the home of Shama and Shahzad, met their relatives, and we also went to the church. Maulana Abdul Khabir Azad had brought about 15 religious leaders with the Muslim leaders, Shiite community and Sunnite community, to console and comfort the Christian families and Christians of that village. Is called Clarkabad. And he said he condemned this act of barbarianism in the strongest words possible. He said, Christians are my brothers and my sisters, so whatever is done is totally against the teaching of Islam. So this was a moment of great grief, and there was anger throughout the country on what happened to this couple, and people are shocked that this kind of hatred has gone to the extreme. But I also want to make a note that most of the Muslims in Pakistan are peace-loving Muslims. There is a small number of extremists. They don't spare Muslims, and they don't spare Christians also. One Muslim man was also killed, accused of blasphemy. He was dragged and burnt.
So we need to clarify then two things I would like to clarify. One is the question of extremism. Then
yes.
We're not talking about Islam.
No.
We're talking about extremists within Islam who are using it, manipulating it for their own end. And secondly, I want to draw a little bit more attention to Imam Abdul that you mentioned as a rather extraordinary man, and who is working with you in this work of your peace center and seeking reconciliation between the Christian and the Muslim communities. Before we get there, can you tell us a little bit now about your work? We've seen a little bit the context of the environment in which Christians are living and the danger of violence against them from this group of extremists. And you've started a work called the Peace Center in Lahore. What is it, and what was the inspiration for you to start this work?
To promote Christian-Muslim dialogue is the mission of my life. And I had developed that interest since my seminary time. when I was studying at Christ the King Seminary in Karachi. So somehow I had a vision that I want to know what is an important work that I should do which is relevant to Pakistan. And that I had intuition. In Pakistan, most of the people, they are Muslims and Christians are a minority. So I said, I want to bring good relations and reconciliation and collaboration between Christians and Muslims. So that goes back to 1977. In seminary also I wrote thesis on Islam. So I was ordained in 1980. Then 1982 to 85, I came to Rome and did my licentiate in Islamic studies and Arabic language. So this my interest and my work goes back that far, like 30 to 35 years after, especially after my ordination. Then also I was appointed by His Holiness Pope John Paul II twice as consultant to the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue. And for another 5 years I was appointed as consultant to the Vatican Commission for Religious Relations with Muslims. So together for 15 years I served the Vatican at the appointment of Holy Father, now Saint John Paul II. This has been at the center of my heart and mind, and I have always walked on this path of reconciliation and peace and dialogue between the people of two largest religions in the world, because it is a need of the time. There is a need to do the formation of our Christians,
yes,
who sometimes they very often they fear from Muslims. They say, no, let's be firm on our faith and let's learn from Muslims, that would let them know who we are, and we also know who they are. As I said, most of the Muslims, they are peace-loving Muslims. They want to live in peace with us, we want to live with them. But the extremists or the fundamentalists, they are a problem. So this peace center serves as a bridge between Muslims and Christians.
And you have gained recently an important ally, and I will read his name because it's the Grand Imam of the Badshahi Mosque in Lahore, Maulana Abdul Kabir Azad. He is a very important imam. If I understand, his mosque at the maximum can hold up to 100,000 believers, an important figure, and he has now joined you in your work of seeking reconciliation. Who is this imam, and why did he take this extraordinary step of coming in and agreeing that now is the time for Muslim-Christian dialogue?
This Grand Imam, whose name is Maulana Abdul Kabir Azad, as you have said, and he is the Grand Imam of the second largest mosque in Pakistan. It's in Urdu we call it Badshahi Mosque. In English we can translate into Royal Mosque. It was built in 1671 by Mughal Emperor, and this is a symbol of Pakistan, and to be Imam of that mosque is something really very extraordinary, enjoying such a high prestige. This Imam, Abdul Kabir Azad, has inherited love and sense of dialogue with Christians from his father. His name was Dr. Abdul Qadir Azad. He served in this mosque for 30 years as Grand Imam. He was a great ardent promoter of Christian-Muslim dialogue. He had a kind of conversion in his heart, and he reached out for dialogue. First he was a bit reluctant, and he had written some articles in some pamphlets also, but then he realized, no, these are the people of the book, they are the followers of Christ, and I should have good relations with them.
In
so
fact,
this Imam,
there was an extraordinary story behind, if I understand correctly, of the father, where he had a vision of our Lord, if I understand correctly. Can you tell that story?
Very briefly, that he shared with me that Father, there was a time that I was very much anti-Christians. I was writing articles against Christians. I was writing books against Christians. I was giving sermons against Christians. But during one night, Jesus Christ appeared upon me. He said, "Stop it." And from that moment, he said, "Father, I stopped it. Now I give testimony everywhere. Jesus Christ is the Prince of Peace." And Jesus Christ said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." And he said, "I am not worthy even to untie the laces of his shoes of Jesus Christ." And from that moment, it was his inner conversion. And he was the first one, wherever there were difficulty for Christians, to go there and console with the Christians.
And his son has now taken this over.
His son is on the same footsteps. He said, "This is what I have learned from my father." And he said, it is at least for the past 20 years, he says, I am working for Christian-Muslim relations, and which is absolutely true. I know him for the past 20 years. I saw him as a young man going with his father to the troubled areas where Christians are persecuted, like Shantinagar, where whole village of Christians was burned. And this Imam, along with his father, he visited this place where about 300 houses of Christians were burned by the extremists on false accusation of burning the pages of the Holy Quran. But these people, this Grand Imam, literally he painted the church when it was rebuilt. He put bricks of the foundation of the church on the walls, and he said, I have a long beard. He said, I wash the wall with my beard. So much humiliation, and he was so humble and so much deeply touched. And then there was attack on Christians in St. Dominic's Church in Bahawalpur. That was on 28th of October, around like 2001, after this 9/11 incident. Our church, and then when there was attack on Afghanistan by the forces of America, they retaliated and they attacked on our church, and 16 people were killed. One Muslim guard was killed, and then 15 Christians were killed. And this Imam, and along with his father, Abdul Qadir Azad, they went to the church, and he wept there. This Abdul Qadir wept there, and he had heart attack there. He was taken to the hospital, but he survived the heart attack. But I mean, this is the one. So we feel very proud, very, very proud, and he's a great troyer. This present Grand Imam is a great troyer, a great inspiration, because he's appointed by the government. He goes and sees the government officials. He meets the President of Pakistan. He meets the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and we are very close friends.
But he must be, I mean, a target for the extremists. Here is a Muslim imam who goes to visit and console the Christians after attacks by the extremists, speaking in favor of reconciliation and peace. He must be a target himself.
Yes, I mean, this is the imam. He goes to the troubled areas where Christians are persecuted. This is the imam. He visits the houses of Christians who are persecuted, consoles them. This is the imam who makes press conferences, condemns such acts. He is the one who even public demonstration in front of the press clubs when this incident of Shama and Shahzad happened. He addressed the press conference. He protested outside this press club of Lahore with the big slogan that justice be done. And he said, we want justice, and those who have killed Shama and Shahzad, they should be brought to justice and punished.
Is his life and your life, are they at risk?
And of course, I mean, his life is at risk. My life is at risk, because these are the fundamentals. They don't want to see reconciliation. These are the misguided people who are brainwashed. They are against their own Muslims. I mean, they have been attacking the mosque. They have been attacking public places. They have been attacking our armed forces. They have been attacking police stations. They have been attacking churches and the houses. They are not friend of anybody. All they want is to spread terror, and they want to bring their own kind of Islamic system, which is not acceptable to anybody. They don't believe in democracy. They do not believe in judiciary. They do not believe in the parliament. Who would like that kind of system? And they are condemned by their own Muslims. So this imam has been threatened a couple of times. The latest threat he received was by a group which was arrested by the government about 6 months ago. And during inquiry, they confessed this group and their leader, and he said, we had prepared a list of those people who we want to target, and on the top of the list was Maulana Abdul Khabir Azad. Why? He said he goes out for dialogue and he goes to the church, he goes to the Christians, consults with the Christians, so his life is in danger. This work is not easy work in Pakistan. It's a difficult work, but I believe that it is an important work. It is the work for which Jesus Christ inspires us, that be peacemaker.
Father James Channan, thank you, and we will continue to pray for your work and this important task for Pakistan.
Thank you very much. It's a mission of the church, to promote dialogue with the people of other religions, and God bless to the aid to the church in need, and also your benefactors and well-wishers.
Thank you, Father. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today on our program Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the work of Father James Channan, or perhaps how you might be able to help through prayer or concrete action, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.